Greetings from Bangalore. This is yet another session of Eco Hour, and we bring you this time a subject that has been in the air for at least 30 years as far as infrastructure in a city goes. Water. If you remember Mad Max, a film that was made in the early 1980s with Mel Gibson, I think it was, you know that there is a future somewhere between now and maybe the next 70, 75 years when there will definitely be water wars if we don't watch it. You heard about Cape Town and how they have now confined every citizen and water consumer to not using any more than 25 liters a day. Now, I used to work in a slum in Dehradun called Gandhigram. It's a slum-dense city and it's the largest slum in that city. This was in 2003, and we found that this legislation or any restrictive measure to bring down water use is not something that ever succeeds because water and its demand is inelastic. Now, I have got Dr. Bhakti here who has been working on urban water supply and sanitation. She did a doctoral about 11 years ago in Sydney at the New South Wales University, I think it was, and has worked, mentored water technologists, water entrepreneurs, anybody who wants to do business with water in a way that we can make water probably an essential human right if that's possible. Bangalore, where I'm sitting today, is the second on that list, list that you don't want to be on, of being a city which is most water scarce on earth and in the world today. We are 12 million as population. We are about 2 million people who live in apartments. We have about 25 to 26% of water demand in the city coming from the residential segment. We have a total of about 1.4 billion liters as water demand every day. We have about 30%, could be 32% if you want to argue with me, of supply that comes from Kaveri. The rest of it comes from only groundwater at the deep aquifer level. There are parts of Bangalore where we get water that is at least a million years old because you're hitting water that is at least a half a kilometer below the ground surface. Bhakti, you know the grim situation, you know the summer is here, but I respect you because you come from a certain rigorous methodology of how you can possibly find solutions, and solutions are not in the hands of the government, we know this. What do you think we should therefore look for this summer and into every summer in the future?
Sure, thank you, and hello everyone. So I think the situation we've got ourselves into now in respect to water, whether it be the dirty lakes or the crisis in terms of the water situation where we have to buy water from the tanker at a very high price, 10 times the cost of
much more,
10 times and more. We have to understand one thing, that it is we ourselves have been responsible as citizens. Yes, government has a job, has got utilities, and they have to do their part. But we have to remember that it is ultimately our own doing that has got us into this space. So by the same token, what can we do now in order to reverse the situation or go forward and make much more improvements? There's a lot we can do as citizens. And one of the things that I'm currently preoccupied with is water auditing. Now, water auditing.
But before you get there, what you said about the cost, some of you will perhaps not realize that in Bangalore we pay about 8 rupees per 1,000 liters. It's called a kiloliter.
Yes.
If you are living in a residential apartment or if the water use is domestic. If you're taking water at the industrial level, the cost is at about 12 rupees per 1,000 liters. Now you do your math, when you get a tanker of water at about 6,000 liters, you will find that it is about 180 to 200 rupees per 1,000 liters. That's about 25 times what you pay if it is Kaveri's or water board supplies, metered kind of a bill. So the first thing is that you are paying way too much. You're paying 2,500% more than you can pay if the water was supplied by a water utility.
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, if that need is seen by you, And if you also realize that that water, the quality of that water, God knows where these tankers bring the water from. Please check that out. If you're living in any such apartment where you're importing water by a tanker, do not think that that water is safe to drink. So what do you do, like she says now, on how you understand what you have as a challenge?
So in terms of being a more informed water user.
Yeah.
So right now, most of the people, they have no idea how much water are we purchasing,
Yes.
Where is the water coming from, what is the quality of water, anything to do with water, most people have no clue. Now, I often say that would you leave your money to someone and let them, do whatever you want with it and then complain, hey, my money, I have no money left. Then why would you have that attitude to water? Especially now that we are getting into more crisis situation, you've led ourselves into that situation because of that very attitude of not understanding water. And what as I said, I'm preoccupied with this. Let us help people to understand their water in a very evidence-based or informed way, and that process is called water auditing. Just like you account for money, you account for water. You check. You never go on with your life by not understanding what money is coming into my bank and not money is going out.
What would be the audit process?
So the audit process is very simple and yet it is rigorous. So what it involves is, it will first start with at the building level, what we call as a water balance. So try and understand where is water coming from, what are the different sources, how much water is coming, so that's your water in. You try and then understand how much of that water is being used, and as you know, there's within a building, there's also, I hear there's figures like it could be 20, 30, 40% water lost in leakage, which is like you're paying for water but you're not using it because it's simply getting leaked from it could be your toilet that's leaking, it could be your pipes that are leaking. But try and understand, it's possible to know how much water is leaking actually.
So your audit will go through the source,
Correct.
Distribution, thefts, leakages, etc.
Leakages, and also what kind of fixtures people have in their houses, and what are the opportunities therefore to reduce that water. For example, a simple thing like a kitchen tap. We use it for cooking or washing vegetables and washing pots. But then just the fact that the flow rate is such, and the time that you use it for, and if you were to make a small change to it by putting a tap aerator, it does the same job, but it can drastically reduce
So if you go back to what we have set out as the theme for this
Correct.
conversation of measure, manage and save,
That's right.
how much of each of these things gets done under this audit protocol?
So it is covered, all the indoor water use is covered, as in apartment level, what is happening, what fixtures have been in place. Outdoor water use, which is a common area use, like vehicle washing, landscape irrigation, what...
Can I then therefore
Yes,
ask you, I mean,
sure.
in a conversation
Yes,
like
yes.
this, we can't go into too many
Yes,
specifics,
sure.
I understand. How many such audit parameters as a number
Yeah.
would you be able to tell us?
So it would be, as I said, it will involve about 2 hours of doing a field trip.
Would there be about 15 items, 20 items or such things?
It would be about 30 items to look at. So once you take an account of the type of things that are there, then it can easily be calculated. It's like a bottom-up building of the numbers.
2 hours seems to be too optimistic for 30 items to be done. About a day, maybe 2 days?
It's not,
depending on how much time,
what's the
who
scope?
has to
because
offer.
See, you can also do it to the level of detail you want. As a very start, you can do it 2-3 hours work of field visit to capture enough information. Then you go back to your desk and you
Analyze
estimate
it.
the amount that's actually being consumed.
Correct.
And then what you'll find that you then try to account for the water in, water consumption, and what water is going out
Fair.
or discharge. And that starts to paint the picture of where is the scope and potential, because we are breaking it down by end use. It easily tells you what would have been the consumption if the end use was efficient, and any difference between the efficient use and the current use gives you a scope for the water saving
You're
potential.
saying all this, but at the risk of offending some people who are listening to this, I must say this. that, by and large, if I were to go into, let's say, a resident welfare association or a residential society in any city, any apartment, what I find is that one, the associations are not even willing to look at these things. They're saying, I don't know about these things. We are fine. Our costs are manageable still. None of our members want this. The second I'm hearing is that, well, your costs are way too much. If you were to say, even say 1,000 or 2,000 rupees, they do not even want to pay for it because they do not see the need and they do not see the water deficit itself. The third I'm seeing is that, water tariffs are so low today at 8 rupees and 12 rupees and such, and in Delhi it is as little as 3 rupees. What happens then is they do not see the need for doing anything at all on water, and, they say, well, it's a challenge the government. It's not my challenge to see that I do something about it. Abraham Lincoln said somewhere about of the people, by the people, for the people and all that. What he forgot perhaps, and we all need to know, is that there is another one called from the people. So, this from the people doesn't seem to happen at all. Right. What do you think we should do about it?
So, the way I will respond to that is, first of all, as you know, in taking Bangalore as an example, there is a requirement for people to put a rainwater harvesting tank as well as STP. So even if you are investing in that, you need to know, unless you've looked at your water balance and unless you've looked at your water efficiency, you are going to oversize your tanks. You have an opportunity to save on that installation cost simply by making small changes within here. That's one.
How do you make them see it?
So the only way to see it is to show the numbers. Unless you see the numbers for yourself, you're not going to get the appreciation.
So as a first step, if I'm, let us say, what you call an Eco-Pro assessor, how do I step into an apartment and make them at least listen to me?
Okay. So the second counter response I give is, even if you don't go through the numbers, it's not the money or the cost. It's about understanding the risk of not having suddenly water one day. So it's not about how much money I'm saving. It's about water is such a critical resource that if you didn't have it, so you're leading yourself without doing anything, without getting informed about it. You're leading yourself to a crisis situation.
So at an elevator page, if I'm one of those assessors who is going out to an apartment, will I want to talk to them about the grim story of how you don't have water and next 5 years is going to get even worse and so on? Or will I appeal to things like, hey, if you did this, this is the amount of money you'll save? That is, will I appeal to his instincts on saving money?
Absolutely. And it is very much possible that you'll make at least 30 to 40% savings by simply going through your water use and understanding where you could make those.
In less than 60 seconds, how do I convince him of that?
Well, I would say that you would not only save on your bills, but also any investment you're going to do on the capital for making this infrastructure, you'll be making the savings, and the ongoing operating cost makes a difference when you save on your efficient use of water.
Do you think an RWA official is open to such reasoning?
I hope so, because if you want to be a whinging citizen, well, you can carry on whinging about someone has to help you, or if you want to be a proactive citizen, the choice is ours. So as I said, we are in a situation today because it is our doing, and we need to do our part. And unless we do our part, you can't complain.
In a sense, can I rephrase what you said to say that you are helping him with information that will enable him to make an informed choice?
Correct.
That is, he can continue to say, hey, my situation is good, I have no reason to want to change, or, well, these are things that I want to change.
Exactly.
Is that what it's about?
That's right. So you start being an informed water user. That's what I would say.
Am I hearing that, this, what you call rigorous process of objectively, shall we say, offering them the gap analysis in different areas, you said 30 different items of audit, will make them understand this?
I think because I think it's the power of information or data, exactly. Like
from your own experience of doing such things in Australia, let's say, do you see such a process succeeding?
To give you an example, in Australia, in fact, it is the utilities who see value in investing in those water reductions because it's going to save them money. And also there's instances where city councils have actually helped the citizens. in the absence of the government utilities not doing it, if you were to even start doing it and make inform the policies to show.
Interesting. You
to
said
show.
city councils.
Yes.
Can you give an example that we can learn from?
Yeah, sure. Because, for example, City of Sydney Council, we designed a program where City of Sydney was funding a team of water auditors to go to the businesses to go and do their audits free of charge, because that would give them the report which said, here are your opportunities to save water, energy and waste management costs. We also had a program that involved the apartment buildings. So actually involving the the RWA, which they're called here,
actually, yes.
and in involving them and doing some audits on them to demonstrate that these are the savings you could make, and that would be shared with the wider community so that they are more encouraged to know that there is savings possible.
Actually, in our last conversation, maybe 2 or 3 weeks
Yes.
ago on EcoR, I remember you saying
Yes.
that it's sort of, a twist of
Yes.
irony that a water selling agency
Correct.
is actually coming and telling you
Yes.
that you should be saving water or buying less of water.
Investing in their water saving, expect the customers. So that's
Right.
Counterintuitive, but it is not, because
Okay.
they were saving on their own business,
Okay. Okay.
operations.
I broadly know what those 30 items are. You know what your groundwater tables are. You're drawing water at 1,600 feet today. There are today nearly 1 million borewells. About 380 to 400,000 borewells are owned by BBMP and other such government utilities within this 700 square kilometer area of Bangalore. And well, if you were to take the NCR or any other such urban agglomeration region, you will find the story to be no different. You need to think about this. You need to understand, well, we can't change the world. We can't get that entire micro region where you live, east or west or south of or central of the city, that you can only make a change at your level of your apartment. I am not consciously in this conversation, because of Dr. Bhakti's general rule on this, talking about individual homes, because the impact that we make at an apartment level, 100 flats in an apartment actually means something like 50 to 70,000 liters a day of water that you use. So it's better to focus on these, is what she says. What is your take on this last part and your last words?
I think all I would say is that if you want to be a water smart citizen, the first place to start it, understand your own water use by measuring it, and if you can't measure, you won't be able to manage.
Absolutely. Measure, manage, and you are saying that there is a definitive, guaranteed save on it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and it's like megaliters.
You're willing to bet on that?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's-
Okay, you're calling it megaliters like megawatts.
Yes.
Nice, actually.
Okay.
Thanks for your time. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
listening to us. Send in your feed. It will help us to see if we can help you. Thanks so much. Great day again.
Thank you.